Pushkin. Throwback.
I forgot we did this version. This is pretty cool.
It's amazing.
Don't ask me what I think of you. I might not give the answer that you want me to.
Wow, I haven't heard this for a while. Huh.
Such a great riff. I don't even want to turn it off.
Yeah. Current lineup.
You should do it.
I didn't even think of it.
And when I talk to God, I know He'll understand. He said, stick by me, I'll be your guiding hand. But don't ask me what I think of you. I might not give the answer that you want me to.
Pull it, break it out. You got to do it on the tour.
That's a thought, yeah.
Damn. It's weird that it's kind of strange that you picked that one, that you did that.
I always thought it could have been written about me. It goes like, I can't sing, I ain't pretty, and my legs are thin. So, you know, it fits. Yeah, I'd completely forgotten we did the version of that, actually.
It's
but it sort of has this Afro-Cuban vibe going through it. So, I mean, if I ever do a cover version of something, it's because I can see a way to do it that's different to the original version.
Yeah.
I don't see any point in that.
So you definitely sense a way to do it different, but there's also probably something about it you sense that must feel familiar in some way, or feel like it fits also?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. It's more about, you know, can I see a different way to do it that's interesting? And can I sing it? Am I actually capable of singing it? I mean, that wasn't hard to sing.
Yeah. Did you know that song from when it first was
From way
out?
back? Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't something that. I mean, I don't know. It just, I guess maybe I heard it on a radio somewhere or something and thought, oh, I could see a way to do that.
Yeah.
I don't remember now.
It's kind of like a lost Fleetwood Mac classic, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's not what you think of when you think of Fleetwood Mac, is it?
No, not for a long time. It hasn't
Right.
been. But Peter Green, who wrote that and was the, leading the band at the time, he did have I don't know, maybe I'm just basing this based on Santana taking or doing Black Magic Woman.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I was gonna say Como Va Too, but doing Black Magic Woman, which he wrote. But I always feel like he had a bit of a Latin flair.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about him.
Something. No,
don't know.
No, okay. You certainly do.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm a Latin music nut. Yeah.
When did that start?
I'll tell you exactly, because I was in London in 1978, something like that. It was around the time that I recorded my first album.
Yeah.
And I went into a secondhand record shop and I saw this beat up LP. It was called Salsa Live by the Fania All Stars.
Wow.
And I was intrigued by it because the cover art was a sort of painting of Latin musicians standing on the platform in the New York subway. And this was in the 70s, and all the trains are covered in graffiti and stuff. And they look like gangsters, with their instrument cases and like big, broad-brimmed hats and stuff. And I thought, this looks really cool. And I took it home, listened to it, and I couldn't make sense of it. I couldn't understand the rhythms. They were alien to me. I was so fascinated by it, I started reaching out to everyone I knew in London, all the musicians I knew in London. Does anyone know any Latin percussionists, any Latin musicians who can kind of teach me about this music? And I managed to find a couple of people, and that's where it started. And then when I got to New York, one of the things that I was most interested in was the Latin music scene. And so, the first tours that I ever did in the US, we would always be sort of based in New York, and we would have days off. like the early 80s. And I would be going to Latin gigs.
Wow.
And most of my band and crew, they wanted to go to CBGBs, which was great too, right? And they didn't get it at all. They thought it was crazy. But it was an amazing time for Latin music in New York. It was such a vibrant scene. I just loved it.
Where would you go at that time for Latin music, if you remember?
There was, I would go to places like the Corso Latin Ballroom on 125th Street. And,
wow.
And then there was a thing called Salsa Meets Jazz, Monday nights at the Village Gate in Greenwich Village, which was amazing. They would have a couple of the top Latin bands in the city, and then they would have guest jazz soloists playing with them. People like Stanley Turrentine and Nat Adderley and, like really great players. That was incredible. I went every week.
That's wild.
I loved it.
I've never heard those guys do anything Latin. I don't,
Yeah.
I can recall Stanley Turrentine. He's pretty, pretty. Think of him as being pretty smooth in terms of pretty soulful player.
Yeah,
Not
very
much
soulful
like
player.
Yeah.
But there would also be people like Paquito de Rivera, who's both Latin and a great jazz player.
Yeah.
But I saw so many great artists there. I mean, everyone who was... Ray Barretto was my favorite. Amazing. I saw so many gigs of Ray Barretto. Always had the greatest band. It was so exciting.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand why my peers were not into this music.
Yeah, was there ever... I guess it didn't really come around in popular music until like Miami Sound Machine or something,
Oh, right, yeah.
Probably.
Well, you got a bit of it with Santana, I guess. But yeah.
Whose brother, actually, now that I think about it, his brother was in a band that I think was signed to Fania. His brother was, I think, in that group, Malo or something. Malo. And I think they were signed to Fania, but they were like they were kind of like Santana, but even more more down the Latin rock niche than even Santana was, But nothing from Fania, but Fania didn't seem to really get too much traction in mainstream music, No,
but I mean, if you see mainstream as being Anglo-American pop rock, which most people did, but
sadly it is.
But
I don't know, it is.
But I mean, when I first started living in New York in the 80s, I was going to Latin gigs and jazz gigs all the time. And that to me was the sound of New York. To me it was a Latin and jazz town rather than a pop rock town.
Yeah.
So that was very much what fed into my album Night and Day, which I thought no one was going to like. But
was a huge departure from the first 3 albums.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I thought no one would like it.
And looking in hindsight, it was a quick. You made that detour. I mean, it's the 4th album, but it's only like 3 years later, in 1981. I guess that album.
Yeah, but years were years back then.
So tell me about that. What do you mean?
Well, they lasted a lot longer than they do now. I mean, the distance between your first and third and fourth albums. Yeah, looking back, it was just a few years, but at the time, it didn't seem like, it's we made an album last week, let's make another one this week. It didn't feel like that at the time.
Yeah. And yet that's what you were doing. I mean, the first 2 albums.
Well, the first 2 albums came out in the same year, yeah.
Recorded months of, 6 months of.
Well, the first one we recorded in the summer of 78 and it came out in January 79.
Yeah.
So the second one, I can't remember when we recorded, but I think it came out in September 79.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, who puts out 2 albums a year?
The Beatles.
The Beatles did, yeah. Well, back then people did, yeah.
Yeah. Was there a reason you did that? Like, was there
No, it was just like, I wasn't really thinking about it that much. I just had enough songs for another album, and everyone seemed to want to do it. So
yeah. What was your relationship with A&M like at that time?
It was pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were a pretty good label at the time.
Incredible label.
Yeah, I mean they had a lot of great people, and it was a really different era when the record company made a difference.
Yeah. But it's also like that A&M was, it's like Herb Alpert and Jerry Moss. Those are the founders. It's the A&M in it, and then and it's a substantial label, and I don't.
And yet it was an independent.
And yet it was an independent.
Yeah.
But because those guys were such record industry guys.
Yeah, but they were also musicians.
But they were also musicians.
Originally, yeah.
Did you meet them ever?
Oh yeah, both of them. Yeah.
What were they like?
Jerry Moss seemed like a pretty cool guy. I mean, I met him a few times. Herb I only met once or twice, I think, and he just seemed like incredibly laid back.
Yeah.
I don't know how much they had to do with my career, to be honest. I don't think they were the people most involved.
Yeah. It's interesting that also you recorded the first album before the Police's first. I mean, the Police were label mates.
Yes.
And their first album came out after you recorded your first album. It came out before.
I thought it was the other way around, but I don't remember.
Well, it came out before yours came out, but you recorded yours before it came out. And it which is interesting just because it feels like they were sort of the
well, you know more about this than me. I'll just shut up and you tell it like it is.
I'll do that.
No, I don't.
Let me lecture you about your career.
Yeah, I did not know that. But yeah, we were contemporaries, and Squeeze as well was the other band that we're all like. But like I said, time was so much bigger than the fact that someone's first album came out 6 months before or after mine might have seemed quite significant at the time.
Yeah,
it certainly doesn't now.
Yeah, I guess where I was going with the Police comment was in kind of. I think most people's popular imaginations, like it felt like the Police were sort of the lead off to, I'm sure it was happening already. There was Madness and all those other groups that were sort of ska-tinged at the time.
Yeah, I think their first album came out the same year as mine. I think Madness and the Specials. Yeah. I think the Specials, it was all the same year.
Yeah. But in terms of I guess going back to popular music, I felt like the Police were sort of like the ones that sort of broke that out of being local to whatever was happening in the UK and made it feel worldwide, made it feel global, or at least transcontinental. Yeah. But it must have been like, obviously if you recorded your first album before that came out, that was a thing that was brewing, right? That sort of ska, new wave.
Yeah. I mean, I think like anyone else, I was influenced by what was going on around me, and I was in a certain place at a certain time, and I was 23 years old, and even though I wanted to think that I was just being original and I wasn't part of a movement or any of that sort of stuff, I think I was very influenced by everything that was going on around me. And if I listen to my first album now, I mean, not that I do, to be honest, but it just really sounds like London in 1978. It's very much of its time and place.
Wow.
And I think you can't avoid that.
But that wasn't the intention. You did want to be apart from a...
Yeah, I felt like this is my thing and I don't want to be compared to anyone else. And, and I would do interviews in Spain or somewhere, and they'd say, so are you part of the new wave? And I'd say, what are you talking about? I don't even know what you're talking about,
That term was particularly triggering for a lot of artists, I think.
I mean, it's just like, you don't want to feel like you're just part of a cult, ideology or something. We all want to feel like we're brilliant originals.
What was playing live like at that time? Was there who would you have been playing with at that time? Pre getting signed, pre your album, were you playing live and working out those songs, or?
Well, yeah. Only a couple of pub gigs. I didn't have a regular band until I got the record deal because I couldn't afford to pay them.
Yeah.
So there was basically the band that I made my demos with. I called them up and said, "Hey, do you want to quit whatever your job is and go on the road, and we can just about afford to pay you a living wage." So before that, I was just doing any kind of gig I could get.
Yeah. And not with the band, with Graham Maby.
Just doing all kinds of stuff. Like I played in a Playboy club, and I played for a cabaret duo called Coffee and Cream, who were like really cheesy. I did that for 6 months to save up money. That's how I saved up money to make the demos that became my first album.
Wait, were you in Coffee and Cream?
I was the piano player. Don't shoot me, I'm only the piano player. Yeah, but it wasn't my choice. No, but I would just do anything. Before that I was in top 40 cover bands and playing weddings and playing in restaurants and playing jazz gigs. I mean, it's really weird to think back to when I made my first album. I was only 23, and I felt like a veteran at that point.
Wow.
I mean, I did my first paying gig when I was 16, so I was doing all kinds of gigs. And it felt like sort of culmination of this long journey, making an album. I was 23.
16 to 23 is it's substantial though.
Well, again, when you're that age, it really is substantial.
Yeah, it's super substantial. What was your so if you were playing popular music at the time, like what was your repertoire pre?
Yeah, well, whatever was in the charts, and just depending on what kind of band it was.
Do you remember certain songs that you loathed to have to?
I wasn't crazy about the Neil Diamond medley we did with Coffee and Cream, but I don't think it's a bad thing to use the skills you have to make money.
No,
and also it's all experience, whatever you do, and I think it's a good groundwork. I think people don't have it so much anymore, but when you've gone on stage and had glasses thrown at you by an audience of skinheads, things like that, it does kind of toughen you up a bit, prepare you for the long haul.
Yeah.
Someone said to me, it sounds like the scene in the Blues Brothers where they have to have chicken wire in front of the band. They said, we longed for chicken wire. If only.
That would have been an improvement.
Yeah.
What records were you listening to then? Formative years, that's 16 to 23, making the first album. Like, what were you ingesting?
God, let me think. David Bowie, Stevie Wonder, Joni Mitchell, Steely Dan,
wow,
Little Feat. And for a while, when I was like 16, 17, I was into prog rock, and I liked Soft Machine was a favorite band. Cool. And anything kind of jazzy I liked as well. King Crimson and people like that. A lot of that stuff I don't really like now, to be honest. But and reggae music, Bob Marley, in the late 70s, that was huge in England at the time, all that music. So I got really into that.
Was it like Clapton doing it that got it huge out there, or was it legitimate before then? Was it already? It was huge.
Yeah,
People
Bob Marley really broke through, and there was that Bob Marley live album, which is a great live album. I think that was a big hit. Suddenly it was all over the radio, and it was just huge. And then everyone was, every record company was signing reggae artists all of a sudden.
Yeah. And did you notice other people? Were you aware of the other, like the Madness and all those other ska bands that were sort of cropping up around?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember going to see one of the Specials' first gigs in a pub in London. It was fantastic. It was packed. I remember saying to my friend who I was with, these guys are going to be huge any day now, which they were, But Madness is a band that have really had longevity, and I think they're underrated, actually. I mean, they're very, very popular in England especially, but I think, there's a real depth of songwriting and musicianship there, especially in some of their later stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm a fan.
There is on your first few records, too, and I feel like you maybe, I think I read that on your first few records, you're sort of embarrassed of the songs to a certain degree.
What now I am?
Now. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, some of those songs are pretty silly and pretty immature, I think. But that's, of course, that's what you get when you're 23. Some of the songs I still like and still play. Kind of cliche, sort of... I became, over the years as a writer, much more particular about what I put out and much more critical of myself. It used to be like, well, I got an idea, sort of knock it into some sort of shape, record it, and that was it. Didn't really think about it much. And there's a good side to that as well. But if you're going to keep going for decades, which I somehow managed to do, that sort of wasn't good enough for me in a way. I mean, nowadays, I'm my own worst critic. If I start working on something that starts to remind me of something I've heard before, whether it's someone else's or mine, then it's like, no, scrap it, start again or twist it in some way. I read somewhere that when Bruce Springsteen released the Born in the USA album, that he had 60 songs, and it was a really difficult job to narrow it down to whatever it is, 10 or whatever, 12 on the album.
Yeah.
I thought, my God, I can imagine being in that situation, having that many songs and finding it that hard to. I mean, my latest album has the 9 songs. That's it.
But it sounds like there could have been many.
But
many
there was
more.
a lot of other, like, going down streets that turned out to be cul-de-sacs, along the way.
Yeah.
So a wreckage of half-finished songs by the roadside along the way.
Do you ever revive a bad idea in the end? Do you ever feel like okay, maybe I've thrown that away too soon, I'm coming back to it, and it ends up actually working out?
Yeah. Yeah, and the opposite, something I'm really excited about. Oh, this is a great song. And, I sort of live with it for a while and think, nah. And I might actually, I've done things like scrap the whole lyric of a song and just put it aside and then get an idea and start again with a different lyric. And finally, it's a song. There's no real sort of pattern to any of it, actually.
How hard is that? Because, you must, even if it's a bad lyric, you must at some point on some level, muscle memory, even just the muscle memory level, get set on the lyric, even if it's bad,
Yeah. But there'll be something about it that, over time I figure out what it is that's bothering me and why it's not good enough. It's very hard to explain because it's not scientific. It's not it's not an exact science. It's very much I've been asked, do you write from the head or from the heart? And it's neither. It's something else, and it's something like intuition.
Yeah.
It's intuitive. So it's like a question of taste as well. Yeah. And so you can only rely on your own taste and your own intuition because you're the artist. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And you must feel then like your taste has evolved quite a bit from.
Yeah. It does get harder to be as prolific as I was, for instance, back in the 80s, where I seem to be constantly recording new albums and touring. And from my point of view now, the quality of it is uneven. I made at least 3 albums too many, I think.
Which ones would not make the cut if you were now deciding?
You know why I don't want to say? Because sometimes someone will say to me, oh, this album of yours is my favorite album. I love it. What am I going to say? No, you're wrong. If someone likes it, then great. But just for me, because I'm entitled to an opinion about it too.
Yeah.
Right? And some of the albums are better than others, just for my own taste. But I don't want to spoil anyone else's enjoyment of any of it.
What about musically, like stepping out once you get to there, you're really stretching out musically.
Yeah, and that album in general, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just sort of, it was really kind of starting a new chapter where I feel like I was being more myself and not so much influenced by what was going on around me at the time. And like I said, it was bringing in a lot of those influences, which I thought were more New York influences of jazz and Latin music rather than rock and roll. And even leaving out the guitars. I still meet people who say, there were no guitars on Night and Day, really? And I say, well, did you hear any? No one seemed to notice, which is funny. I had this idea of it's all keyboards and percussion. And like I said, I didn't think anyone was going to like it. I thought it would be a really hard sell. And I was going to do it anyway. But definitely stretching out musically, because I was capable of that. On the first couple of albums, it was a case of deliberately simplifying it, which a lot of people were doing at the time. It felt like the thing to do at the time. Like, even if you could be a very good musician, but you'd play really simple, deliberately.
Right.
My band was a pretty damn good band, but it was just keep it really, really simple. And I just stopped even thinking about that. So.
Was that likely a reaction to the prog rock that was popular and all that, sort of being tired of it, people being sort of probably tired of the Frips of the world. And
they're going back, to the beginnings of punk and all that. Yeah, it was. Yeah. And at the time, I thought it was all great fun. I didn't take it seriously at all. It just, punk bands just made me laugh. So I thought it was great.
Really?
I had I once had a beer with Joe Strummer from The Clash, who was a great guy, and we talked about how critics especially are lacking, and they lack the humor gene, you know. And he was saying how that when they were writing songs for The Clash, him and Mick Jones, they would be cracking each other up because they would, as we say in England, taking the piss, you know, mocking and making fun of. And then the reviews would come out and say, you know, excoriating social, political anger and protest and all this. And they'd be laughing even more. And I was like, yes, exactly. I felt exactly the same way. It was amazing how seriously it was all taken.
Yeah, and critics thought you were taking yourself seriously a lot often, right? Like in what you were doing, right? Like,
well, they have no sense of humor. It's been my observation over the years.
Yeah.
It's the one thing that they miss consistently.
Yeah.
Is, you know, they take everything at face value and take it very seriously. It's funny.
Would you read reviews then or no?
Back then I would, yeah. Nowadays I don't. I avoid them.
Yeah.
Because that could just drive you crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, if you pay too much attention to any of that stuff, you'd end up not being able to create anything.
Yeah. I always found it funny, like, you know, critics, like just the, as if new wave wasn't bad enough a term. Yeah. It's like, and then critics moved on to at some point, like, you know, like sophistopop.
Okay. Sophistopop.
Like Scritti Politti and you.
Okay.
And
who else would fit in that?
I think they threw in, who was the band that made that? Steve McQueen was the
Prefab Sprout.
Prefab Sprout.
Yeah,
and they were great. I mean, Prefab Sprout
that album was
awesome.
great. Yeah,
that album was amazing.
Yeah,
but then you know they're calling it Sophistopop.
Sophistopop.
It's like how terrible, you know?
Okay.
It's like just a fucking
I'll take it.
It's a terrible name.
Yeah, of course it is.
I guess I should bring up at this point that Sonny Rollins just died.
Yes. Was he 96 or something?
He was 95, 96. Yeah. He got.
Hadn't played for quite a while.
Yeah.
He was still playing at 80, still touring.
Yeah.
I saw him, again, like going back to the days when I was first living in New York in the 80s, I saw Sonny Rollins perform a couple of times, and I was absolutely blown away.
He had been insane back then, right?
You know, I mean, one of the shows that I saw he did was one of the most powerful performances I've ever seen, you know, by a jazz musician, certainly. It was like, my hair was standing on end, you know. Wow. He was really special.
Wow. What do you know? Where was it? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was the Bottom Line, which was a great venue. It's long gone, unfortunately.
Yeah. Was that because I know you also you were inspired for Body and Soul by his volume.
Yeah, but that wasn't.
Record.
It was just you know, we were trying to think of a cover concept, and we thought we'd try something with that classic Blue Note look, a sort of a homage to that, which other people have done since then. Maybe they had done before then, but if so, I wasn't aware of it. But it was more, it's just the look of it, you know, it wasn't just the fact that I was a fan of Sonny Rollins.
Yeah. It's still an amazing album cover.
Yeah, I like it. A few years later, Rolling Stone published a little thing with, they put the Sonny Rollins album and mine side by side. They busted me. You know, apparently I ripped it off, and they're now revealing to the world this terrible rip-off that I did.
Me play something from the new album. Any particular song you like off the album? Do you have a favorite?
No.
Okay.
I would never, even if I did, I wouldn't tell you. But no, I'm always reluctant to pick favorites. I feel like that's not my job. You know, but if I didn't really like every track, I wouldn't put it out. That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah. I'm gonna play this. Made God Laugh is a good one.
Everything is still the same, which means you never know what's coming next. The stroke of luck, the stroke of 10, the fickle flash of fame. So now you're down, but that's not it. So listen to what the wise man said. Another day, another song. It's not easy to see where you could be wrong. You made God laugh when you told him your plans. Come on, you know it's true, and
I love the. It's a great song, and you sound great on it. It's also a great performance by your bass player, by Graham.
Oh, well, he's always great.
Graham Maby. I mean, that sounds amazing on it.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about him, but what was the genesis of that song?
It was a quote that I read somewhere, and I can't remember who it was, but they said, if you want to make the gods laugh, tell them your plans. And I thought that was really interesting. The more I thought about it, the more I thought it was a happy thought, because we all need to figure out that we can't control everything, and the sooner you realize that, the better, because it makes life less stressful and generally nicer if you can do that. And it's funny because there's been a couple of people who interpret it as a sad song, and I don't think it is at all. But that was the origin of it. Actually, after I'd written the song, and by the way, no song is all about the lyrics. Yeah. It's just that's what we all end up talking about, But having written the song, I decided to try and find out where I'd heard this quote, and it turns out Woody Allen said something very similar, but he got it from an old Yiddish proverb, which I'm not going to try to say in Yiddish, but it goes, man plans and God laughs, so it's been around for a while, this idea.
Are you always aware of the sort of the meta text of a set of lyrics that you write? Or
meta text? Do I have meta texts? I'm not sure. There's always layers to it. I find it very difficult to. I mean, I don't write. I don't want to write songs that are didactic, or telling you what to think.
Yeah.
This is what it is, and like I said, songs are 70% music anyway.
Yeah,
I think for me anyway. I mean, I think there's a tradition of songwriting that's different. That's more about storytelling. It's more about lyrics. It's more of a folk tradition. That's not really what I do. And I think for the most part, it's the music that really moves people, and the words kind of tag along afterwards. And sometimes they're, worth thinking about. I mean, I certainly try to write the best lyrics I can, but I'm really primarily a music guy.
Yeah. I think people listen for different things. Some people are lyric people.
Yeah, that's right.
Some people are. I tend not to be.
I don't either. I kind of take in the whole thing,
Yeah.
And if the lyrics are particularly interesting, they'll draw me in at some point.
And bad lyrics can probably ruin an otherwise good song, I'd imagine, right?
No, on the contrary. This is one of the reasons I think music is more important than lyrics, because there's a lot of songs I really like that if I really think about the lyrics, they're pretty stupid. And they don't even make sense or anything. Not to mention the fact that there's a lot of music I really love where the words are in a language that I have no idea about.
Well, that's often why I like music in another language.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's a good thing.
Removes any sort of critical.
Yeah, I mean, the lyrics might be terrible. I might be listening to some music from Serbia, it was the worst lyrics ever. I would never know. I'm just enjoying it.
Yeah, and sometimes like the Joe, and then would sing in like such an accented in such an accent. Sometimes I hard to make out every other word.
Yeah.
And so you just
that's the thing I could never understand about Shane MacGowan, because he wrote great lyrics, and when he sang, you couldn't understand a word.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
I know. I didn't know he was even revered as a songwriter until he passed away, and then all of a sudden it became.
He was a really talented songwriter.
It was like revered as
but it was. I mean, I envied him in a way, because I saw the Pogues live once, and I think he sang on about 3 songs, and he would say, "Thank you very much," and everyone would cheer, like, "Yeah, good old drunk, shambolic Shane, not making any sense. We love it," And I thought, "Oh, that's a good gig."
Did you ever get to know him or no?
No.
Did you ever get to know many peers, or like as in terms of beyond? You mentioned having a beer.
Yeah, I mean, I met quite a few people. Andy Partridge is a bit of a friend of XTC.
Yeah,
someone that I think have a lot in common with.
Yeah,
someone no one ever compares me to.
Musically, very different.
No, I think we have a lot in common.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And Joe Strummer was was a great guy. I was really sad when he died. I can't believe he's actually not with us still.
Yeah.
But I can't see, I don't hang out with a whole bunch of my peers. I'm not friends with these people. I mean, I don't mean that in a dismissive way. It's just not the way it's turned out.
What do you find yourself listening to primarily these days?
All kinds of stuff. I'm really all over the map. A lot of jazz, a lot of Latin music still. Listening to a lot of music from Colombia, which I think is some really interesting music coming out of Colombia. I got into early jazz in recent years, so listening to people like Earl Hines, Sidney Bechet, Jelly Roll Morton, late 20s, early 30s jazz I really love, and late 50s, early 60s jazz are the two eras that I really love. But I mean, I don't hear a lot of interesting stuff in the pop rock, the Anglo-American pop rock world.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that great. I mean, there's some things from outside of the Anglo-American sphere,
Yeah.
some interesting music from, like Stromae from Belgium, I think is really cool.
Wow. Yeah.
There's a band from Berlin called Zed I really like.
I know them.
Rosalia from Spain is really interesting. So there's some original things break through here and there.
I don't know. Was the band was Z? Is that?
Sorry?
What was the band from Berlin, you said?
Zed.
Okay, I don't know Zed, but the other two, Stromae and Rosalia, I mean, they're really, I don't want to say avant-garde, but like they do things outside of what their contemporaries necessarily are interested in. Their sort of vocabulary as musicians seems extraordinary, perhaps.
Yeah.
So that must be what draws you to that, right? I imagine? Yeah. Feels very different.
Right. It's not just something that you can easily put a label on and, file it on. It's this, and it's for these people. And that's the more interesting area, but it's like harder to pin it down.
Yeah. It's funny that early on, there was this sort of keep it simple philosophy.
Yeah.
You eventually ditch it, and then it really is like, so it feels like, in a weird way, that's probably what you heard in the prog rock when you were young, that you enjoyed, even though you don't like it now, the presentation of it maybe, but
well, this goes back to when I was 15 or something like this, and because I had a classical training, so I learned to read music when I was 11, and it's no big deal, so I think that I kind of, maybe there was a couple of years there where I turned my nose up at pop music, but then I started to get interested in it again, and the things that interested me were the things that I thought were musically more sophisticated.
Yeah.
But then after a while, there were things like people like David Bowie, that would have brought me back more towards pop music.
Because it blended a bit of the sophistication of...
Yeah, and I also started to think, well, I don't want to be stuck up about anything. I mean, all kinds of music can have something good about them. So I think that's been my attitude ever since.
Yeah. Do you keep up with your sort of classical training? Is that a muscle that you've continued to...
I think it's just kind of part of the arsenal of something. It's just in there. So, yeah.
Do you practice a lot, or...?
I play quite a lot, so I guess it's all practicing in a way. Yeah. I mean, I don't practice scales and stuff like that for hours like I did when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
But...
and will you pick up like a piece you haven't played and just try to get through it?
Occasionally, yeah.
When's the last time you did that?
So
that's kind of cool.
Well, not recently, to be honest. I mean, technically, I was probably much better at 18 than I am now.
Yeah.
But in terms of being able to improvise and be creative at the keyboard, I was not very good then. I think I'm still getting better at that.
So you weren't, early on, you weren't good at improvising?
I mean, I tried, but I think I've gotten better and better. I think I'm still learning. I think my playing's still getting better.
Yeah. It must have been great then, being around guys like Herb Alpert and Jerry Moss, and I guess Quincy Jones would have been at A&M at that time as well, or at least had just put out a bunch of records.
I wasn't hanging out with these people, but I mean, I was aware that I was with a fairly cool record label, you know, and other acts that I liked. I liked Squeeze quite a lot.
Yeah.
And some of the things that were really interesting, I picked up on at A&M, like they had Yellow Magic Orchestra from Japan.
Sweet.
I remember picking up a couple of their records from the A&M offices and really enjoyed them.
I didn't know they were on A&M. That's an insane band.
Yeah.
How did you find your guys? How did you find your band?
Well, they were local guys. The bass player and the drummer, Graham Maby and Dave Houghton, were local guys that, Graham I met when I was 18 or something. So we were playing in different kinds of bands together. And Dave Houghton was playing with, other people I knew. And, so we all grew up in the same area around Portsmouth on the south coast of England. But by the time I made my first album, I was living in London, and Gary, the guitarist, was a Londoner, who was someone that I met then. So, it was just a kind of pretty organic kind of thing.
It's pretty wild that those guys were just around, and they're really great players.
Yeah.
Did they have ambition? Did they have their own things going on? What were their?
No,
what were they
really.
at when you kind of found? Were they? What were their ambitions?
I don't know. Actually, you'd have to ask them, I suppose. Just doing gigs, whatever gigs they could get, and doing part-time jobs and scraping by.
And how do you typically work with them? Dave's still around often, right? Not always, but he
hasn't wanted to tour for quite a long time. He's kind of was. The reason I broke up my first band was because he didn't want to tour anymore.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah. And rather than just replace him and carry on, I thought, well, maybe it's time for a break.
Yeah.
Take some time off and rethink. But he came back on board later, and we did a couple more albums and tours together, and then he kind of dropped out again.
Okay.
So I've had a sort of procession of drummers, some great ones, actually. So Doug Yole, who's I'm working with now, have been working together for about 10 years.
How does it work when you bring something to your band? How do you work with them? How do you work out a song
Usually I'll make
together?
a demo of some sort and say, well, listen to this, and kind of get familiar with it, learn the chord changes, learn the parts. In some cases, there'll be things that really suit them and sound great, and other times it doesn't really work, and we have to negotiate. So it's kind of like, well, that doesn't seem to work for you. What can you do that's along the same lines? And so it becomes collaborative to a certain extent. But I have the final say because someone has to, and so it should be the guy whose name's on the record.
Yeah.
So people have asked me, is your band a democracy? And it's not, it's a dictatorship, actually. But it's what they call a benign dictatorship, where the dictator's not a bad guy.
It's a benign dictator. Sir, can we please change this? Can I change this part? It's not suiting me. So you have the demo. It's pretty fleshed out.
Yeah.
And they mostly learn it how you presented it.
Yeah, but there's always some things that change along the way.
Yeah.
And I quite enjoy that process, because I do want people to feel like they're involved in it and they're not just, like session guys or something.
Yeah.
I'm very particular about picking the people who I like their personality, both as people and as players.
Yeah.
And trying to find ways to, especially in a live situation, I always try to find ways to make everyone in the band shine. Give each player a share of the spotlight.
Yeah.
That's one of the really fun things about playing live, I think.
Yeah. The bass parts, they're not that fleshed out, are they? Are they as fleshed out as we hear? Some of them are.
Yeah.
Wow.
Some of them are, but there's this bass line's part of the song as I conceived it, so I, some of the bass lines are what I've written. Some of them are Graham doing something along the lines that I ask him to do, because I know him well enough that he's generally going to come up with something I like.
Yeah.
And if I don't like it, I'll tell him. That's my prerogative. But it's hard to explain it, because the question comes up quite a lot. How much say do the musicians have in the creation of their own parts? And it's not like black and white. It's just kind of somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. How much does a song come to you when fully formed? How much do you kind of hear the full thing
Quite
at the
a lot,
beginning?
a lot of the time, yeah. Yeah, I don't know why, but I don't think in terms of, well, I have this few chords and what do I do now? I tend to sort of hear a whole kind of sound world in my head, if you like. It's hard to describe without sounding a bit kind of pretentious.
Let's play maybe I'm Not Sorry.
If you like.
Seem agreeable?
Whatever you like.
Okay.
Hello, cruel world, I'm not going away, so I might as well have my say. For all the damns that I never gave, and for every damn whale that I failed to save. For every little fad I didn't chase, and every little fool who just didn't like my face. I know that you like it, I know that you want it, I know that you need it. Leave it alone because I'm not gonna say it. I'm not sorry, I'm not sorry at all. I'm not sorry, I'm not sorry at all. For every cause that I didn't support, and any law that I broke, saying what I thought. For every California dude who had the nerve to observe I had an attitude.
I feel seen.
For every flag I didn't choose to fly, and all the crocodile tears I refused to cry. I know that you like it, I know that you want.
So, you got something to say?
No, it's funny because I haven't actually listened to that for a while, and because we've been we're 12 shows into our tour now, and we're playing this song live, and it sounds different.
How's it changed?
Well, things just sound different, Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I hear it now, and I think, well, the bass sounds different, the drums sound different, the balance between the guitar and the keyboard sounds different.
But in a way that has evolved.
I mean, we haven't really changed the song, but yeah, it's funny. It's just hard to explain. It just takes on a different life live, I think.
Does it feel good to hear it the original way?
Yeah, I think it sounds pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think we're doing some little different things to it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Is that worth investigating for you ever? That the way a song changes live?
I don't know. It just sort of evolves. I mean, one thing I do find is that very often things get better as a tour goes on, and you think, oh God, I wish we could record the album now. And I actually did that once on an album called Fool from a few years ago. That's what we actually did. Finally, we did a 1 month tour where we played all the new songs, and then the idea was wherever we finished up, assuming it was somewhere where there was a studio, the day after the last show, we would go in the studio and record the album. It turned out to be Boise, Idaho, and which I loved because everyone was saying, "What the hell were you doing recording an album there?" It's actually not a bad place. And we did the album in a week.
Wow.
Did some of the vocals later in New York and mixed it in New York, but that was great. But it's so logistically so hard to do that. So this album was quite different because I did some demos for it that turned out really well, and we ended up using a lot of the demo tracks on it, including some of the lead vocals, which I didn't expect. I thought I was going to have to do them all over again. But I was listening to them and thinking, wait a minute, I don't know how to do this any better, so we might as well keep it. So it saves some time. Wow. I don't like to spend a lot of time in the studio anyway.
always, or just because you've done it
generally,
so long?
no, I don't. Yeah.
So some of the lead vocals on there are from
The demo vocals.
That's amazing.
I mean, but I couldn't figure out a way to do them any better.
That's great though. I sometimes, a lot of times I hear, people will down the line put out a demo of a song, and you'll hear it and be like, wow, the demo's actually better than the, but I think it's maybe hard to believe that for some people. Yeah,
that's right. But it's very interesting of what happens sometimes if you don't have much time and you've got to just get it done, and not be too fussy, and you're telling yourself, well, it's only a demo anyway. And I guess that in that process, you're kind of relaxed in a way, but at the same time, you're not wasting any time. So you kind of, whether you realize it or not, you're actually zeroing in on what's important. Yeah. Which you can lose sight of if you spend too long in the studio, which a lot of people do. So I think it's quite an interesting lesson in there somewhere. Yeah.
That song, I'm Not Sorry, it's musically pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it's cool because there's an aggressiveness to it, but then there's, the sort of like Latin harmonic thing going on. And usually those two things aren't melded together.
Well, that's
even in your music, those things, because there's songs that are of yours that feel acerbic and have like a more of a that kind of a aggressive feel, and then there's songs that have had Latin grooves, but it feels rare that those two things kind of converge.
Okay, well, that's an interesting angle. I think maybe because it's actually quite humorous. I mean, it strikes some people as being angry, but it's really more humorous. Yeah. There's a bit of a kind of defiant attitude in it.
I mean, it's very defiant attitude on that,
and it's a bit of a kind of anti-cancel culture sort of idea.
Yeah.
I quite like the idea of just saying, you know what, I'm not sorry. Whatever it is, if you've had some problem with me, I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
And there's a line in the song that goes, don't apologize to someone who just wants to make you their bitch. It's like the last thing you should do is apologize. So that's the message, but it's, I think, done in a rather humorous way rather than an angry way. There's one song on the album I'm not going to say it's my favorite, but I'm particularly proud of in certain ways. It's called End of the Pier. And the idea that I had for the song, I got to a point where I thought it's overambitious. I don't think I could pull this off. And I more or less, I might be exaggerating a bit, but like shut myself in a room for a week and, with a rhyming dictionary and a thesaurus. And just worked on it and reworked it until I thought, wait a minute, yeah, it works. I did pull it off.
Wow.
So, if you want to know, you haven't asked, but if you want to know who my favorite lyricists are, there are people like Ira Gershwin, Johnny Mercer, Lawrence Hart, Cole Porter, all those guys. Just the brilliance of the wordplay, and I just love that, and the wit. I love. So I like the idea of being a craftsman when it comes to crafting the words of the song. Even though I'm saying that they're not as important as the music, ultimately I don't think they are. It's the music that still is what moves you, I think.
Well, it's interesting though. But those guys like Johnny Mercer and that, like they are, there's a lot of clever wordplay, but they're fairly earnest songwriters,
Yeah, but they also can be very witty and very funny, which I think is really lacking in a lot of songwriting.
Yeah. Can we talk about the Duke Ellington album that you did?
Yeah.
Yeah. What made you? What brought you? That was about. It was 2012, I think.
Yes, I think it was. Yeah.
You did a Duke album.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm really proud of it, and it actually is a Joe Jackson album. I did the arrangements, I was the producer, I did the keyboard playing and programming, I did some of the vocals. The only thing I didn't do was write the original source material.
Yeah.
You know, right?
Yeah.
So it was an idea I had for a long time because I'm a huge fan of Ellington. And he is one of the reasons he's inspiring to me is because of the way that he constantly reworked his own material. He did different versions of his own songs, which I've always done. It's one of the things that keeps things interesting, you know, touring after so many years.
Even the classic tune, Take the A Train. It's like there's many versions.
Yeah,
of
many
it,
versions of everything.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I'd had ideas about, well, you could do this Ellington tune with this kind of arrangement, whatever. And I can't remember at what point I said, you know, I want to try and do a whole project of this. And then I started to make some rules for myself because that's one of the things you have to do to create anything is to set limits. You can't be limitless, you know, it doesn't work. So one of my rules was no horns because, I mean, I want to pay tribute to Ellington, not compete with Ellington, right? So there's no horns. And none of the songs have a traditional swing rhythm.
All right.
You know, so they're all different grooves and different kinds of sounds.
Was that a struggle explaining to the rhythm section that you're going to play some Duke tunes and not swing?
No.
Which is crazy to say. You know?
Yeah. But that was the whole idea. And sometimes if you give yourself the guidelines, that's actually inspiring. It's not limiting.
Yeah.
You know, it opens up possibilities. You know, seems contradictory, but it doesn't close down possibilities.
Yeah.
And so I found myself thinking, well, what other directions could we take this? I mean, Caravan, for instance, is sung by Susan Dehim, who's a singer from Iran. And she did the translation of the lyrics into Farsi. So, you know, I thought that was such a cool idea. I mean, no one had done that, but it seemed to me in a way an obvious thing to do. And again, Perdido had this idea of it having a kind of Brazilian groove. And there was a band from Holland who I really liked called Zuko 103 with a Brazilian singer, Lilian Vieira, who also did the translation into Portuguese of the lyrics, you know. So it was like, let's just try just doing all kinds of different things with Ellington that haven't been done before.
Yeah.
And different kinds of grooves, using electric guitar and electric violin, and just you're getting away from the horns. And I think it turned out great. I'm very, very proud of the album, actually.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people didn't quite know what to make of it, but there you go.
I think that's fine. it kind of reminded, there was like Mingus at some point put out an album where he did like a lot of his sort of more well-known tunes, but there was like, you know, with a band that was not really fit, not fit, but not what you would think. You know, it was like there was like I think it was in the mid '70s, and there was like a bit of a shredder of a guitar player doing like pork pie hat, you know, goodbye pork pie
really?
hat and things. And it's like it kind of.
I don't know that.
Yeah, it was kind of like defamed the songs, but I'm sure, you know, critically it defamed the songs, but it's kind of interesting, you know, and it lets you hear jazz in this kind of interesting modern context,
right?
And putting Caravan back in like into like a Middle Eastern sort of context is interesting too, because that's obviously the inspiration for the melody and things.
Right.
Has it driven you crazy that, I mean, I feel like for a lot of years, a lot of decades, you've been ducking into jazz, and making like really great records based around jazz tunes or jazz arrangements, and like it doesn't stick in the sense of when people think Joe Jackson, they don't necessarily think jazz. They think
no, I mean, I'm not a jazz musician. You know.
Right.
I'm a jazz fan, and I can fake it a bit. I can play decent jazz piano, but I'm not going to, you know, go up against people who devote their whole lives to playing jazz piano. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm a jazz fan, and I like bringing in different influences and seeing what you can fit with what other, you know, which pieces of the jigsaw you can fit to which other pieces.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's kind of what I do. You know, I can't really stay in a very specific genre, and it's not a decision, you know, it's just the way it comes out. So the way it comes out comes from who you are, and, you know, so I'm just someone who's had very, very broad musical experience and interest, and so what interests me is is finding ways to put these different things together in a way that works.
Yeah.
That's yeah. I mean, that probably sums it up as good as anything.
It feels like feels like a good summation of most of your work, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like being a collagist rather than a portrait painter or a landscape painter or something like that, maybe.
Yeah. So you're 12 dates into an 80-date tour, roughly 12 dates into an 80-date tour?
I think if you put our North American tour and European tour together, it's about 80 shows. Yeah, I think we're about 12 shows in at this point. In. Yeah,
does that feel daunting?
If I thought about it, it probably would. I try not to think about it. I mean, it sounds cheesy, but on the road, it's just you have to just concentrate on today.
Yeah.
But you just think about today. I don't think about the gigs we already did or what we're doing tomorrow. It's just really concentrate on today, and it's going great. And we're at that kind of magic point of the tour where we got over some of the initial nerves and glitches and so on, and we're really enjoying it, and it's just getting better.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What makes a good show for you? Like, do you feel like, what makes a good show for you versus a bad show?
Well, I think it goes without saying that it would be a show where I feel like I performed well and the band performed well and we didn't screw everything up. But beyond that, it's just something you can't define. It's magic. It really is magic. It's something that happens between the band and the audience and everyone. And some nights it's magic. I can't explain it any better than that, and that's why it's great. You know.
Do you have to think about the audience in terms of set list, or do you?
Yeah.
Do you do?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I try to be as objective as I possibly can. Like, how will this come across? You know, to someone sitting in the 20th row, whatever. Yeah, I'm always thinking like that.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm excited to come out tomorrow. It's tomorrow, I believe, on the show, right? Yeah, tomorrow to see you guys.
Great. It should be good. That's a good venue. I've played a couple of times before, so yeah, it should be good.
No, I'm excited, man. Quite a different attitude on I'm Not Sorry than on Battleground.
Oh God, yeah. That's one of those songs I'd rather forget. Yeah.
Okay, was it earnest at the time, or was it honest at the time? I should say.
I guess it was, but that was well, you dragged it out of me. That was one of the albums that I don't think is one of my best. Was Beat Crazy,
okay.
Because the first two albums are basically the same album, really.
Yeah.
But Beat Crazy was kind of like, let's try to mix it up and do something a bit different, but without really quite knowing where it was going. So it's a bit of a confused album, I think. It's got some interesting ideas on it, some good bits, but I don't think it worked very well. And I think that was probably another reason why when Dave, the drummer, wanted to leave, that I decided to kind of just break up the band and rethink rather than just kind of carry on.
You realized that was broken. It wasn't gonna get better in that form.
Yeah, or at least at that point. I mean, we got back together again 20 years later or whatever it was to do the Volume 4 album, which was actually the best album we made as a band, I think.
It's a good album. It's a good.
It's just you can't compete with nostalgia. That's the thing. I mean, a lot of people said, "Well, it's good, but it's not as good as Look Sharp, though." Well, yeah, they don't want it to be as good in a way.
It's hard. Like you say, it's hard. It's just it's too hard. Too many memories built up, and
you can't compete with that. But I mean, as an album of songs and the band was playing much better, and I think it's a good album.
Yeah. All right, well, hold on. We'll play, I guess Do. Or maybe Fabulous People? No, let's do this. Let's go for this one.
This is what I should be making instead of always taking my time off just to play. This is what they're using baking, the kind of stuff that's making me fatter by the day. Ray, coming from the sun. I like gray, but then I'm not everyone. Me. When I look in the mirror, it's getting ever clearer. The best thing is to laugh. Me. This is the face I'm stuck with. I wish you lots of luck
Okay, I think again written cheekily.
Yeah, I mean that's a really silly song.
Yeah.
I mean, it actually came to me in a dream. Doesn't that sound like the pretentious artiste? I woke up one morning and I had do 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 stuck in my head, and I thought, what the hell is that? That's really dopey. But it stuck with me, and I thought maybe it's a really silly song, and what the hell is it? And then I thought do re mi. Oh, I wonder if I could do a do re mi song that's different but use different rhymes and meanings to do, a deer, a female deer, right? So it's a do re mi song, and it was just have fun with the words, with the wordplay, and just do something really really silly. And it's funny. A friend of mine listened to it, and he said, "This sounds like it could be a kids song, written for kids." And that never occurred to me. I don't have kids, and I thought that's an interesting thought. And I thought about it, and I could not have written this song when I was, back when I was in my 20s, because I was too serious. Like so many young people, you take yourself way too seriously when you're in your 20s. So I had to, all this time had to go by for me to be able to write a kid's song, which is kind of interesting.
It's great. And some of the best kids songs aren't necessarily written, for kids. Like, it's not like, I don't think there's like a great kids songwriter, per se.
Yeah, actually, I'd never really thought about it, but
it's like Randy Newman might be one of the more successful ones of modern times, but it's not like he's specifically ever thought of himself as I'm going to write songs for kids. He just
it's funny. I mean, I thought it had a place on the album. That there was a place on the album for something just really completely silly and just humorous, and it doesn't mean anything really. It's just wordplay, having fun with words, and
Although I sense that there's probably some there's some dissatisfaction with.
There's a sort of self-deprecating thing about it. I was trying to think of all the different meanings of these sounds: do, re, mi, fa. It's just fun to write. It's fun to play with. Yeah. Like me. When I look in the mirror, oh my God. So it's like making fun of myself in a lot of ways, and just having a bit of fun. So it balances some of the more serious moments on the album. Although I do think it's generally a pretty upbeat album.
Yeah. Do you feel like do you ever that's maybe a bad way of phrasing it, but do you ever wish your band had been more of a band in terms of not having your name on it?
No, I'm actually really, really glad that it wasn't that.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't get stuck with that. Well, I like so-and-so, but I like X, the band, better, right? They can't throw that at me, because it's always just been, I always felt like, no, I'm just going to take responsibility for myself. It's not going to be a band name. And then I have to, change it or try to live it down or whatever.
You don't have to be
I think that was the right decision in the first place.
Yeah. Well, that's I'm happy to hear it, man. And thanks for all the music over the years.
Thanks.
Even the ones you don't like.
Yeah.
Be Crazy is a good album.
It's all right.
It's a good album.
It's all right, yeah.
It's a good album.
It's got some good ideas on it, I think.
It does.
Yeah. I mean, I quite like the title track.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
We thought about reviving it for this tour, but we somehow haven't done it. We may do, who knows?
Well, if you can add that, or oh well, then
oh well is another one. Yeah,
I've made my mark.
Yeah.
Well, great. Nice to meet you, man. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. Cheers.
Yeah. Thanks for checking out Broken Record on YouTube. If you want to listen to us on the go, be sure to subscribe to Broken Record wherever you listen to podcasts.